So, when last we met, a small group had decided to go exploring a dark and mysterious castle, while the other group decided to hold down the fort.
Yeah, so good choice. No, it wasn't.
Sylvia had promised to take you to the castle in exchange for a little bit of aid, although she had warned you about the dangers that were going to be approached.
I know we were going to a castle, but are we
Yes,
just talking about in general?
she said castle, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she hadn't said anything other than the castle being dangerous.
Yeah, she said the castle was dangerous.
She said the castle and the path to the castle was dangerous, if I remember right. But I have a bad memory, so don't trust me.
No, that's what she said. Nah, she said it was going to be a walk in the park with buttercups and flowers and bunny rabbits.
Will it, though?
Oh god, that sounds like a pain in the ass. I don't think I can take that.
Yeah, better
All that
retreat,
green
man.
shit that grows.
So Stein, Vlad, Sylvia, and Arata head into the woods, past the boundary lines that were set by the Phaon Guard. As you pursue deeper into the woods, everything becomes a bit more familiar than it previously was. You've been here before, so you know your way around the trails and you know what to avoid. You also know to stay away from the western side of the forest because you know there's nothing but a big swamp over there. You continue onward deeper into the forest, and this is deeper than you've ever been before. Past these boundary lines, the forest trees stretch up so far and cover so much in the canopy that light has difficulty reaching down here, making it somewhat dark. As you proceed onward, Sylvia has not said a word since you have departed. But when it gets to the point where vision becomes somewhat difficult, strangely enough, she lights a torch and begins to continue walking.
Is my vision hampered because of the torch being lit due to my night vision?
No.
Okay.
She's not holding it in your face.
Okay, because I know how night vision works. Natural night vision works at night with the light beam.
Yeah, but your character has day vision too, so it's no big deal.
Okay. So. Alrighty.
You're not a vampire, Vlad. Get that through your head.
I know this. I'm just saying that I have night vision. I just wanted to know if the light from the torch is hurt is painful to my eyes. Okay.
That's all you sound like, Vlad, is No, you're fine. Your character has night vision and day vision, so just the fact that she's got a torch up doesn't actually hinder you at all.
Okay.
As you proceed onward, Sylvia pauses and stops. She looks around and notices a very small trail off to the left side, and she begins to slowly follow it.
I'm going to ask her if we're going up some obscure path that most people wouldn't know about.
Indeed we are, Arata.
And if I remember, no, she only said that with Vlad. So, I was just asking what can we expect to find?
If we're lucky, nothing. If not,
But
probably some ghouls.
I'm gonna use my link that I still have with Sylvia to ask her if we're starting to get close.
We are getting somewhat close.
Then I'm gonna establish a link with the rest of our group and request that we go at weapons ready and remain alert and have all our alerts ready.
Sounds like a plan.
Out of character, Zeta finally replied to me saying, I can't tonight, gonna do some all-nighter planning.
I think that either is code for him doing homework or he's playing another game.
Yeah.
So Sylvia continues onward until everyone reaches a very familiar looking cave.
oh boy, is this the cave we found earlier?
Yes.
Oh boy.
I'm just gonna look at the entrance to the cave and give this sigh of, oh god.
You notice that it's not ratherly large, but it's actually rather interesting for a geological cave. This almost actually looks man-made. It almost looks tunneled out.
I'll do a search, see if I can determine. Would that be it? Search to see if I can find out more if it was or not, or is that something else?
That would be knowledge geography, but you can do a search to get some more information.
Ooh.
That's pretty good. You do notice that this cave does look like it was man-made. It looks like it was mined out. There's no pillars or shafts that are holding up the entrance to the cave per se, but it just is too smooth and it's too rounded and almost too perfectly symmetrical to really be a naturally formed cave.
I'll relay that and say, would have found this out sooner if we came up to it the other day.
How wide is the cave entrance?
20 feet.
So wide enough for like maybe 2 people to fight side by side?
About 3. Uncomfortably, but about 3.
But enough to where like 2 people can fight side by side without hindering each other?
Yes.
With my mental link still established with the rest of the group, I'm gonna think and not realize that I'm communicating with them going, I hate enclosed spaces for fighting like this.
Well, you want to bang on the front door, you can be my guest.
Is there a door to the cave entrance? Or is
No.
it an open cave entrance?
It's an open cave entrance. I mean, you could chop down a tree, carve out a door, put a door there, and then knock on the door, but.
I'm gonna walk up to the edge and peek one of my eyes in and see if I can see down into the cave and see how far I can see down into the cave. And see if there's anything in the cave.
It's pretty dark. You do manage to see quite a ways down. It looks like just a straight shaft going forward, and then it takes a hard right. All the while going down.
Do I see any creatures that I can see in there with my night vision or any movement inside the cave?
Nope.
Then I'm going to relay to the rest of the party that with just my night vision, it goes down for pretty good distance and then turns right, and it seems to be straight, and I don't see anything in the cave.
Sylvia pipes up, and she's like, "Good, nothing's changed then."
Anyway, key detection.
Roll key detection. You sense a very, very faint key aura. Very faint.
Very faint. Is it a mushroom?
No.
Okay.
Is it a cockroach?
No.
Damn it.
Is it my soon-to-be war tiger?
Don't get him started on that one.
Alrighty. Well,
Yes.
I'll relay it out at least.
Yes, Errata gets mauled to death by a tiger that jumps out of the cave. Make a new character, fuckhead. No.
Okay. With pleasure.
No.
Alright. I'll take point. Lead.
With a warning to the other two characters, mainly Jason and Alphonse, would you guys like to get in any roleplay or have any requests that you want your characters to do before they go off on their little excursion here? Because depending upon what happens, they may encounter quite a bit of combat.
Shit. With so many people playing popcorn. Think they can just join us.
I know, right? Well, if Zan or Jason wants to, I can easily plop them in there. That's the great thing about popcorn.
Yes.
Well, while we're waiting for a reply back from Zan or Jason, I need to go use the restroom for a bit, and I will be right back.
I'm trying to think of things that I could do.
Well, you could buy a boat.
I mean, I could.
Yes, your supervisors have a scheduled expansion list, and oh look, it's time to expand. It's almost as if it's on a queue.
I mean, I'm still waiting for reinforcements. I want to get off this crazy island that won't let me go.
You could go into the cave with us.
Because apparently I could call out to you with my mental communication and be like, help, because you're within 300 meters, and you could start running your happy ass over here.
I don't run, I fly.
Put some dirt in it. I'll be back in here tomorrow.
And Dracovius could just hop on one of the horses and trot his happy ass over here. When you say, they need our help. If that chance arises.
Give me a second, guys. The lens just popped out of my glasses.
Uh-oh. Hey Sarge, what's your notice at? Or does key detection also count as a notice? Good talk. Okay.
So, what I was gonna say before dogs decided to bark before I got the chance. I mean, yeah, Dracovius can come in to help you guys. I mean, do you guys want him to come in to help?
Well, I think Bot wants to know what you want to do at the camp. And I was gonna say, if we need it, I can use the mental communication to do that, because you guys are, Dracovius is 65 and Alphonse is 75, according to this map.
True. I mean, there's not really much at the camp that Dracovius can really do, to be honest.
The only downside is um
I'm back.
getting here without getting lost.
Yeah, that is true.
So I think, well, Alphonse can sense matrices, and he can pretty much track the mental communication link that I establish, and he can guide you. If the both of you come, you both can come and do it that way, but I don't know how you would do it. Right? Would that be accurate, Alphonse?
Give me a second. I have to look up the ruling on that.
What on seed matrices?
As long as you get a 80 or on your score, you can go to up to 80 feet. It looks like for sense matrices.
Yeah, but I actually don't have that power.
I thought you did.
And I'm back.
Come back.
So, what'd you all decide?
I was asking if the need arises, I can create a link to them and ask them to come for reinforcements, right?
If they're within distance.
I can go up to 300 feet.
Yeah, that's not a whole lot.
Well, according to this map, Dracovius is 65 feet and Alphonse is 75 feet.
This map is not represented.
Yeah.
You guys walked several miles.
Oh,
Yes. The map was never to scale to begin with.
The only thing the map's ever
Oh.
in scale with is usually when I do combat.
okay.
So do Mr. Dracovius and Alphonse wish to join?
Not before leaving a message for my staff at the base camp. Should a large, monstrous man, and I do mean monstrous, horns and wings, and you will think that you have seen the devil himself, come and ask for me by name, give him this letter detailing exactly where I've gone.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
And it's not a letter. It's literally just an arrow or a series of arrows for him to follow, because he has just enough intelligence to understand language.
Oh dear.
I actually, he took an extra point in int, so he's actually got int 3, not int 2.
Yes, int 3 is bare minimum to understand language.
Alright.
Oh
Anything
dear.
below that and you can't speak a language.
Chuck.
Don't worry, his character is actually, like, well-versed.
No, I mean, he says that I want to be Hector so I can be like Papa Monster. It'd be great.
Gonna have a lot of fight Eckert at the end here. No, I would never do something so cruel.
What, throw Eckert in a fight? Wouldn't be the first time.
So, Stein, Alphonse, Dracovius, Arata, and Vlad all proceed to head down into the cave.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna be 2 steps to the left and 1 step behind Arata with my rifle raised and bayonet affixed to the tip of my rifle. So that way I can see threats with my night vision, just in case.
Mm-hmm. You proceed downward into the cold, dank tunnel. After a while, the humidity becomes very noticeable. It's quite intense down here. You can almost taste the water in the air. It's a very metallic feel. The air is cool, but it's starting to get a bit warmer as you go down and down and down. The only light being from those of you who can see in the dark and from those who have a torch lit. You go down far, you take a right, and then you take another right, and the tunnel takes a left and goes straight. There are very few branching paths down this dark place. After a while, you get the feeling that, well, you think something's watching you, but there's nothing here. There's no spirits, no key. Anyone who uses any sort of magical detection detects nothing. The only thing you detect is a very faint key source getting closer and closer as you delve deeper into this tunnel.
Interesting. So wait, are we like in front of the key source, or are we at like a bunch of branches in the cave?
There have been almost no branches. It's been just one tunnel.
Oh, my bad. I thought I heard branches somewhere in that
I
description.
said there have been no branches.
Oh. Then, where is Sylvia in our line?
Sylvia's in front.
Sylvia's in front. Okay.
Stein is in the back.
Right. And then nothing other than that key source. Is it in front of us? Is it above us? Below us?
It's in front of you.
What do you got for me? Is it?
Can Vlad's gonna look back and notice that Stein's in the back and request that Dracovius move to the most rear position to keep an eye on our rear so that our healer and medic isn't the very last person.
Mm-hmm.
And then also ask Dracovius to keep looking behind us and making sure that there's nothing coming up behind us and following us every now and then.
I'll give a silent nod to Vlad and do so.
You do not.
And I'm just
Yep. Dracovius, as you
really
keep
quickly.
As you keep an eye on the rear, you don't think you really see anything coming at you, but you do get an uneasy feeling whenever you turn your back to the rear. When you proceed with the party and you look back, you feel fine, but the moment you turn your head away, you feel just uneasy.
Can I do a search roll for tracks, or do you want me to do tracking? Hell, I'll take even animals.
Sure.
Which one do you want?
Either or. I didn't request any rolls, so you can kind of roll whatever you want right now.
I'm just gonna say that my communication is gonna be through mental communication with the party.
That's fine.
Assumed.
And I doubt anyone's going to resist you, so no worries. You can track. There's almost nothing really to track in here, Arata. No footprints, no animal signs, no claw marks, no scratches. This cave is clean.
Almost suspiciously so.
You are getting very close to the key source now. As the key source comes into the light, you see a man. You may turn to Edris's picture if you wish to know what he looks like.
Ah.
You see this man hanging from, well, he actually doesn't appear to be hanging from anything. He appears to be suspended in midair. Almost floating.
I'm gonna ask Sylvia, who is that?
Sylvia shrugs.
His floating is nothing special. I do that all the time.
The man does not appear to be conscious.
I will poke the man.
There's a mild grunt, but he still seems unconscious.
Can I see what he... Oh, God damn it. Can I do a notice roll?
Sure. As you poke him, your hand brushes against something. and it feels like there's some sort of, I guess, string that's holding him up. You can see very faint glimmers of something there.
So I don't think like the sheet or not, you can see I can like feel out anymore.
I'm gonna turn and keep eye down the tunnel that we came in through while the rest of the party tries to look at this man and figure out what's going on.
So you take your no daichi and you try and cut the strings.
I was like feeling out where the most are centered, and then
It
once I
seems
find that,
it seems the most are centered around his arms and legs.
All right, then I guess I want to make a roll to set him free.
Are you going to
I'd
do
rather
like?
wait. This is Vlad gonna talk to Arata, saying, Arata, wait.
Are you gonna come here and do something?
I was trying to talk to you.
I'm waiting.
What are the strings attached to on the other?
Can I see what? That's a good point. What are they attached to?
They appear to be attached to the cave wall, or the other roof, if you will, which is about a good 10 feet up. And you can see the torchlight illuminates enough. They literally seem to have just embedded themselves in the rock.
Sylvia, have you seen this stuff before?
She looks at it and kind of squints and says, "Well, this looks like a steel string of some sort." I've heard of this, but I've never seen it before.
Alphonse, Dracovius, have you guys heard of this or seen this?
Strings?
Metal monofilament strings.
I've seen strings, and I've seen strings spun into filaments. I've seen metal spun into filaments.
Any word from trade partners about this type of stuff? Rumors, myths, legends?
It can be used in some rudimentary technologies to prevent lightning from damaging homes, but other than that, I don't know of many other uses.
So instead of cutting all of those strings for one limb, why don't we try cutting just one string for one limb, see what happens, see what kind of response
The moment
happens.
the moment you say that, he drops to the ground.
Is there a thud?
It's a very gentle thud.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sure I have a role for this.
Sorry, Sergio, I had to take that away from you.
I'll get my chance eventually.
Stein, can you get his vitals?
Stein checks his vitals, turns back to you, he says,
Yeah,
Man,
I just found
man,
out I have no points in medicine.
the
Feels good.
Stein checks his vitals. He looks back at you, Vlad, and he says, "This man appears to be alive."
Does Stein find out anything about the check?
He starts doing other checks and kind of looking around. And he says, "Well, he's got a decent amount of ki going through him, so he's definitely alive. I'm seeing something else here, Vlad.
Check. Test.
Test. Yeah,
Yeah.
connection's kind of goofy. He looks to you, Vlad, and he says, he's got a lot of ki, so he's definitely still alive, but I'm seeing something else here. There's ki, at least I think it's ki, flowing through the strings?" Technical difficulties. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sí, señor.
Okay. Stein goes through, checks him, and says, "This guy is definitely still alive. It looks like he has plenty of ki flowing through him, and there appears to be ki flowing through the strings."
Fantastic. Well then, do we want to take him back? Do we want to wake his ass up?
I think the guy just needs some water here, Vlad. He might start coming to.
Do I have water?
Yeah?
Oh, well, then I'll give him some water.
You hand the water to Stein. Stein kind of gives the man a little bit of water, hands it back to you, kind of does another little check on him. And the man slowly starts to wake up. Oh, oh, hi. Uh, fuck, that hurt. Where am I?
The bottom of a cave.
Lovely.
Yeah. The hell of a spot to take a nap.
Yeah. Ow. Well, the next thing I knew, I was in a camp and someone whacked me over the head.
Yep, you get a look on that someone. Wake up at any other point.
Oh, well, yeah, he was a member of the Dragon Guard.
Dragon Guard. I don't know what that is.
Oh, they're like this revolutionary group trying to, he says in air quotes, bring peace back to the land of Gaia. There's mostly a military force.
Mercenaries?
Some of them.
Lad's gonna enter the party's head going, peace is bad for business.
Coming from a mercenary perspective myself, I can understand you there.
Well, that was to everybody else except for him.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't trust him yet.
He kind of looks around. He says, "Well, what continent am I on?"
Where were you last?
I was in Moth last.
I think someone hates you, bud, because we're on that new one that showed up not too long ago.
Oh, the one everyone in Fan was flipping out over about that you saw in the reports.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the one.
Well, shucks. Kind of a long ways from where I was supposed to be then. Oh, fuck. He knows he's kind of. He seems to be in a lot of pain, although he does not appear to have any physical injuries on him.
Yeah, advised Stein, and he takes a second assessment.
Stein takes another look at him, looks back at you, and he says, "Well, his ki was, at least his magical energy was almost non-existent. His life force was almost gone. If it hadn't been for the life force stored in these supposed strings, he would be dead."
All right. So we need to. Yeah, shit. We don't have the one guy. He doesn't have key transfer. Well, I'd just say then, give him some medicine, stitch him up a bit.
Stein kind of waves his hands a little bit and does a minor spell. You can see some green energy kind of flow from his hands. And you see the man kind of regain a lot more strength and stamina, and he actually stands up.
Fantastic.
It's at this point you notice that the man is completely unarmed.
Completely unarmed. No gloves, no nothing.
Well, he's got gloves, but he doesn't seem to have any real weapons on him.
Well, we saved your life. What's your name?
Kind of rubs his head a bit. Edris. My name is Edris.
Fantastic. Now, Edris, I am Murata. I'll point to everyone else and name them off, and note that who they should be talking to is Alphonse or Vlad. I'm going to get some water.
He nods.
I'm gonna attempt to read his mind to see if he's telling the truth.
You actually find that there's a massive wall of resistance there, but after a few seconds of you kind of poking at it, he seems to bring it down. And he lets you read his mind, so you don't even have to roll a potential roll for that. He is indeed telling the truth.
Can he tell that I was trying to read his mind?
Surprisingly, yeah, he seems to be able to notice that.
Could he tell it was coming from me or that it was someone?
No, he didn't know it was coming from you, but he knew it was coming from somewhere. Because when you hit his mental resistance, it was pretty big, and then all of a sudden it just seemed to kind of wash away, and he let you in. Be careful when delving into this one's thoughts, Vladimir. His mind is a bit chaotic at the moment. You hear that in your head.
Duly noted.
And it was not a familiar voice.
Who is this?
You may call me Anna.
And who are you?
Well, who I am is not of any significance. What I am is this man's protector.
Okay. How do you know me?
There's a very long pause, and she says, "We met once, remember? I wasn't one of any significance, or a person that you would even really, I guess, remember that well. But we did meet, Vladimir, a long time ago."
When was this?
I was merely a face in the crowd that you tossed a coin to when you wanted a little distraction for that little whorehouse brawl. I believe it was up north in the very northern provinces of Hendel, in a very small village. It was before you really started gaining your titles, as I remember.
I toss coins out to a lot of crowds to make a scene so people don't forget my faces.
Of course, that's why I remember you. That was before my position now.
And you're this man's protector now? Where are you?
Take a closer look and you'll see me.
Do I do a notice roll?
Go ahead.
Do I have any modifiers for that since I'm specifically looking?
Actually, in this circumstance, yeah, go ahead and give yourself a plus 40 because of what's happening. Oh, yeah, hell yeah. You see that the strings that the man has on him are actually being wielded by him. He has them tied around his arms, his legs, and his fingers. And the strands are actually moving at a point where he could easily wield these as weapons. And with the shining and glimmering of the wire, you see that it's razor sharp. This thing almost looks like it could, like you would not want this wrapped around you. And you can see a little tiny one of the, there's like about a good 9, maybe 12 different strands all around him. And out of those 12 strands, one of them almost seems to stand still, and to your almost kind of bewilderment, it waves at you.
Are you this man's weapon?
I am. I wasn't always like this, but that's a story for another time.
Hmm. You'll have to tell me the story one time.
Oh, of course. I most certainly will. I do actually like talking with others. It's not often that I get a chance to talk with others due to the gift of mental communication is lost upon many.
Unfortunately, this is the only way I can talk to people.
Indeed, I remember. You didn't say much when I first saw you, and it is very difficult for me to speak without a body, of course.
What of the person you are protecting? What is his role here?
Unfortunately, he suffered a very critical accident when uh, dealing with some of my former associates. He is a mercenary for hire, very good at what he does, but he was perhaps a little in over his head during the last contract. And he lost, well, he almost died. I was able to save him, but at a great cost to his essence, if you will. He is now a bit different than he was.
Were you the one that brought him to this island?
Not I. I helped shield him and protect him, but no, I am not the one who brought him to this isle.
If you find the one who brought him to this isle, is this person of danger to us?
I know not. I've merely been sitting here protecting my master, waiting for someone else to find him. We have been here for several days.
Okay. Days, you say?
Yes. It's difficult to tell time down here.
Now, does the tunnel lead on into the castle, or is this the end of the tunnel and we go back out to continue to the castle?
Well, if you turn to ask Silvio, she tells you it's definitely the way into the castle, but as for the spirit in the strings, she has no idea.
I was asking for the tunnel. If this was the end of the tunnel, if I could see that it continues.
You can see that it starts to turn into cobbled stone rather than just, unrefined stone, so your guess would be yes.
Okay. Have you noticed in the few days that you've been here waiting, if anyone else has been past you? Creature or being of any sort?
No, none have passed.
Okay. I'm gonna link to Sylvia and fill her in on the information that I gathered, and Alphonse to the information that I've gathered, but not tell about the weapon giving me the information, and just leave it as a hint that I may have gotten this from reading his mind, and keep the weapon as a secret.
All right.
Don't mind me. I am having a coughing fit at the moment.
Oh, I don't mind at all. I was going through the same thing a few weeks ago, so have at it. Sylvia, how much farther until the end of the tunnel and we're inside the castle?
Perhaps another 5-minute walk.
Fantastic.
Urata, would you like to lead us out? I'll maintain
Yes.
for security. Dracovius, would you like to be up front with Urata?
Sure.
And then I'm gonna request Stein and Edris be in the middle with Sylvia and Alphonse alongside him.
Mm-hmm. The voice speaks to you again, Vlad. Edris is a simple man, a mercenary for hire. I imagine he could be of quite use to the little operation you have going here. Oh, and yes, before you do ask about how I know about that, and about how your friend Alphonse also has a little operation going, just note that I am of no threat to that operation simply for knowing it. I merely still have a connection to some old colleagues, and my colleagues know everything.
That is good to know. Do you know of my connections?
Yes. Tell me. You hear a chuckle in your head. Do you wear trench coats when it's cold outside?
Always.
And do those trench coats ever visit the houses of horrors?
Always.
Then you should be very careful. Because remember, Vladimir, beware a woman who is interested in you.
I'm gonna tap the butt of my rifle where the signet for my house with the trench coat drenched across it is embedded into it. And go, business is business.
Business is indeed business. I'm merely giving a warning that my fellow associates may one day clash with your interests.
Thank you for the warning. I will pass the warning to my associates.
She looks around and she's like, the spirit kind of, you get the feeling that it's eyeing you. And she says, I know some of your party, at least. I don't know all of them. The one in the back with the halberd I know nothing of, nor do I know anything of this Stein. And Miss Sylvia over there is very mysterious. Never met her before. But Alphonse and you I know very well. My colleagues have profiles on both of you.
That sucks to be you.
The samurai up front and Stein were in my unit during the wars up north. The unit that I was put in command of.
Yes, that was quite some bloody fighting.
Okay, now that I can breathe again and hear, who knows about me?
The weapon that Edris has that you have no idea that's communicating to me mentally.
Okay.
The gentleman with the halberd. I don't know him too well, but he seems to be rather good with controlling darkness, and has come in handy a few times. Lady Sylvia, she's a good soul, rather mysterious, and has been handy in a fight a few times. And she's helping me with temporarily being added into my unit for a contract that I'm doing on this island.
Aha. Then, at a small request, I imagine Edris will propose it to you at least some point. If you are indeed hiring mercenary work and in need of those who have the skills of stealth and brutality, he is definitely your man. I highly recommend hiring him on. He can be quite loyal.
I will consider it, and I will talk it over with the gentleman in the samurai. He is essentially like a second in command, even though within my unit we were all equals. Other than formalities of me being titled as a count, I counted us as all equals, if you remember. So I'll discuss it with him when Edris proposes that offer.
Then may Celine's light guide your way.
Thank you. And we are on our way into this castle that you got stuck in the tunnel of. And since your master, the person you are protecting, is not at 100% right now, I can't just leave you there on the side of the path, so to speak. So come along with us into this castle, and we'll get you back to camp or into the castle and to safety. And if he does decide to join us, we'll have a spot for him somewhere doing something. And if he decides to go on his way, we at least will help him nurse him back up to good fighting shape.
A very low chuckle kind of echoes in your head, and she says, "Of course. Thanks to your friend Stein, my master is much better at strength now. I will gladly aid you in this endeavor. I do not know what lies ahead of us, but we will aid."
Glad to hear it.
As you proceed onward, the finely grained stone turns into manifest cobblestone and square stone, almost like you're walking down a classic European medieval dungeon. And you continue onward, and you soon see that the light of Sylvia's torch is no longer needed, for there are now torches on either side of the walls coming down. And then you see a stairway leading up. Do you all proceed?
I'm in.
Well, I requested Arata and Dracovius to be on point, so it's up to them if we proceed.
Arata. Go ahead, Jason.
Dracovius says, sure, or pretty much. Dracovius will proceed.
Yeah, Dracovius and Arata do not see any slippery stairs, so you guys may proceed up.
Fantastic.
I don't want this turning into a clown car bowling alley. No.
Where the stairs kind of turn into a ramp and we all slide down like a cartoon?
Well, no, it's. I never told you the story of the slippery slope stairs, did I?
No.
In Dungeons and Dragons, there's a level 0 spell called Grease. Makes a certain square footage of terrain, depending upon what level you cast it at, difficult terrain. And if you fail on a difficult terrain check, your character goes prone. However, you can't go prone on stairs. So, what do you think happened when my character was getting chased by a bunch of orcs and he cast Grease on the stairs? Slippery slope of bowling orcs.
If we would have slipped on the stairs, it would have reminded me of my first anima game. I didn't die due to any creature. I died due to fall damage
Ow.
of a very big fall.
Ouch. Yeah, fall damage is deadly.
Is it? I've never seen it.
Oh, it can be pretty deadly in anima, especially if you get to a certain height.
Which is why being able to fly freely is so wonderful.
Until you get shot down.
I mean, I am
It's
a little more
innate. If I get shot in the air, I can fall unconscious and still fly in the air.
Oh, well, that's handy. So you proceed upward, and the stairway leads you to a vast hallway. This hallway leads into a main floor, which looks like that of a grand mansion cathedral. You see bright red and gold-lined velvet carpets, massive suits of armor lining the walls. You see white and black stone carving all over the place, paintings, robes, tapestries, everything depicting upon the walls. In the main archway room with all the torches that you see two stairways connecting up into a C formation with more paintings and armor sets and formations and purple skinned rugs and everything. It is just vast. For anyone who has ever seen Beauty and the Beast, do you remember how his castle looked on the inside?
Yes.
That's
Mhm.
basically it right now.
Nice.
And everything is quiet.
We're in the main hall. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do a search roll and see how many doors and pathways I can find.
There's the pathway behind you going down a dark hallway lit by very few torches. There are the two stairs leading up that actually lead to the same balcony, and then they lead out into another hallway. There are two doors, one behind you, one in front of you, that looks like it leads to maybe a stairway under the under like the others, or a closet under the stairway. There's another doorway that leads what looks like to be a grand dining room. And then there's a third doorway that's over to the right that's kind of hard to see. It's kind of around the corner, and that looks like it just leads to another room.
Do we have a castle tile to reflect this or no?
I actually have a map here. Hold on.
Well, this is disappointing.
Is it Alphonse?
Yes, with all this splendor, you won't be nearly as impressed with what I have.
Always think about yourself, aren't you, boss?
Self-improvement is the number one priority.
But Alphonse, do you have that painting right there?
I don't have half of the stuff in this room.
Well, it's abandoned. You do now.
Sylvia pipes up, "Oh, it's not abandoned."
No.
So,
You can ask the owner for it.
Sylvia, you said that you're related to the person who owns this?
She kind of looks a little bit almost depressed, and she kind of rubs her eyes and she says, "Yes, this is my home."
Oh.
So if the owner were to no longer live, you would then inherit this.
Yes.
Then you gotta try and like bring her out of that mood or get a silly look on my face. Is this some kind of inheritance scheme you've cooked up?
No, not at all.
More importantly, does the lord of this castle know how we can leave the island?
He does, and he will either help you or he will kill you.
Oh.
Well, in
Think
the
this
event
was
of the
being
latter, I
lied.
prefer to do the killing first.
She walks to the center of the room, the very vast room, and she clears her throat and says, "Ivy, I'm home." Her voice seems to echo throughout the hallways and every corner of this entire castle. It takes a few good minutes before any of you hear anything, but you think you can hear a door somewhere in the castle open, and you can now hear very faint footsteps walking.
I'm gonna communicate to Sylvia alone and say, should I be on guard?
Against Ivy, no, she is okay.
Then I'm gonna ask, should we have our weapons away or should we be at the ready?
No need for right now.
So then I'm gonna put my rifle on my shoulder, but the bayonet is still attached to the muzzle. And I'm gonna clear the trench coat away from the rapier just so it's easier to handle in a quick emergencies.
No, I'm not doing nothing. I'm waiting for Ivy to show up.
I'll be waiting patiently.
You wait fairly patiently, and you hear Sylvia kind of go, those definitely aren't Ivy's footsteps. This is Medicia coming. Oh well. And can you see the picture I put up?
Yes.
You see her come around from one of the corners and start to walk down the stairs, and yes, she is wielding that.
Fantastic.
Is it in a peaceful posture, like on her back, like in the picture, or is she wielding it in her hands?
It's on her back.
You cut out again.
It's on her back.
All right.
She says, Sylvia, hello. And she walks over to Sylvia and gives her a hug. Sylvia replies in return. It's good to see you again. Did you enjoy your journey off to the continent of Gaia? And Sylvia kind of says, yes, mother.
I'm gonna wave hello.
Medicia looks to you all and gives a very, very formal bow, puts her hands in a cup kind of shape down in front of her, and gives a bow, and then curtsies.
I must bow.
You bow.
Fantastic.
It's also that any of you notice at this time, only Vlad and Alphonse see this, but she has two ravens perched atop either shoulder. No one else sees this.
Oh.
It's also at this point for anyone who has supernatural vision up, which I assume at least one of you does.
Yes.
You don't see much in terms of key flow, but for those of you who are looking at any sort of psychic matricy or doing any sort of psychic vibe, her matricy is huge. It's crackling with energy like a thunderstorm above her head.
Wow. Just the air around her distorts itself.
Pretty much.
Alphonse is actually going to break the pattern that he's followed thus far and take a step to the front of his band of misfits, I would suppose.
I'm a wonderful misfit, thank you. Not just a regular misfit.
My band of wonderful misfits. And he will introduce himself as Baron Alphonse Rousseau of Gabriel. And then he'll introduce each character behind him in turn, as well as offer the politest of greetings from Gabriel.
She gives a greeting in return, very formal, and she says,
Vlad's gonna follow up and enter Alphonse's mind, going, "If you could introduce me as Count Vladimir Eriks Pavlovich of the land of Hendel, special envoy of the king."
I actually introduced him exactly as he's described and asked her to excuse his wordless demeanor because he is incapable of speech.
She nods. And Vlad, go ahead and roll me a willpower or psychic resistance.
A willpower resistance?
No, psychic resistance. Psionic resistance check. Oh wow, that's actually really good. She very forcefully, but not threateningly, breaks through your barrier. And she says, "Hello, Vladimir. This will be a lot easier now."
Hello?
Hello. And she literally communicates with you mentally and communicates with your allies verbally at the exact same time. And she says, "Welcome to my husband's castle. I fear it's not much to look at. We weren't exactly expecting guests. We rarely expect guests nowadays, anyway. It's a bit difficult when the continent is quite dangerous nowadays. Especially with some of the feuding that's been going on amongst some of the other rulers of this island. But you are welcome guests here. Would you like some refreshment? We have some... I can have Elena in the kitchen whip up some very delicious meals for you all. And you may sit here and wait and drink, and I may go grab the master of this castle, my husband, Mr. Dracul."
I'll take some of your finest wine, if possible.
Oh, of course.
Oh, could I get some water with a silly string? Silly straw, that's what I meant.
She tends to go... Anyone who's looking, you see her kind of go static for a moment, almost like you're looking at a old, like, out of character, in terms of an old TV screen. And she literally appears back and beckons you all to come into the dining room. And she's carrying a glass in one hand and a wine bottle in the other. And she pours it, hands it to Vlad, sets the wine bottle on the giant wooden dining table that you guys now see in the dining room, goes static again, and brings back a glass of water for Rada. Except there's no silly straw.
Yay! Oh,
She looks at you and she says, I do not know what a silly straw is.
no, it's fine. It must be a Venetian thing. Thank you.
It's a
Can
good
I
thing.
get another glass for my Gabriel friend here for this wine?
She gives you another glass.
I pour Alphonse a glass of wine.
I hope you don't take my refusal as rudeness, but I believe for the upcoming negotiation, I should remain quite sober.
She seems to be indifferent. Oh, Sylvia, darling, it is a good thing that you called me. Otherwise, the castle's defenses probably would have attacked. This castle tends to move around way too much. Do stay close to me and my daughter Sylvia, because if you stray too far, even if you are not hostile to this castle, it may send you somewhere unknown. Actually, my dear, how long has it been? I think I've been here nearly 800 years, and I still have yet to explore all the dimensions and rooms of this castle. Yes, something like that.
Yes.
Anyway, you may all sit and enjoy any food you may wish. You may call the chef, and she will come and bring you whatever you wish.
Excuse me, what did you say the master's name was again?
Draculis.
And did you perhaps name your weapon?
My weapon.
Yes, the beautiful crafted scythe on your back. Can't help but notice it's gigantic.
This is Luna.
Oh, it's nice. Vlad's eyes are focused on the crows, and he's trying to avert it by focusing on the scythe. And then he turns into the glass of wine and starts drinking more.
Do you guys sit down at the giant dinner table?
Yes.
I
would like to ask for a turkey sandwich. Well, any kind of sandwich, really.
Is Sylvia still with us at the
Yes.
table? Sylvia, are we under any threat here as of right now?
As long as me and my mother are nearby, no.
So as long as you or your mother are nearby, your dad won't pose any threat, or any of the other staff here within the castle
It's not my
will pose
father.
no threat?
It's not my father that's going to be a threat. It's the castle.
Okay.
Or, have you explored all the rooms and dimensions of the castle?
Not even close. You see two more people come out. The two pictures that I've put out on the right side, you see a fairly actually built woman kind of walk out, not dressed in those clothes, but dressed more in a typical kind of almost maid's uniform. And then there's a man standing next to her, armed with a bow and quiver and basic leathers. And she comes out, gives kind of a nod. And she says, "Oh, we have guests? Geez, we haven't had guests in a long time." More technical difficulties. Okay. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello.
Can you guys hear me?
Hello?
Hello? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Damn.
Wait, we
Gotcha.
heard that. We heard that.
Okay, now you guys can hear me.
Yeah.
All right. So the two come out. One of them is not, of course, dressed like that. She's dressed in more of a maid uniform. The man who stands next to her is armed with a bow and quiver. She comes out, says, "My mistress, we haven't had guests in a long time." And she says, "Yes, prepare them whatever they wish while I go find my husband."
Oh.
But those two pictures I've put up are very accurate of the two that have appeared in the room.
I'm remaining composed. My heart's been broken.
The man with the bow just seems to kind of, he's also wearing more of a servant's outfit rather than that outfit, although he is still armed with the bow and quiver. And they both kind of sit there eagerly, kind of waiting for any of you to order something.
Oh, yes, I will have a turkey sandwich. Or any kind of sandwich. I'm a simple man. And my boss isn't feeding me.
She looks around at anyone else.
I'm going to order a full 7-course dinner
You are
for
fucking horrible.
Arata Sakamoto.
Why are you... What?
Our hosts have invited us to feast. It would be rude to reject them.
Fair enough.
Alphonse, I think we should treat our entire group here to a nice meal since they've been through so much for us.
I could not agree more. I merely assisted the less civilized in their in proper ordering from nobility.
Yes, I feel maybe requesting maybe a small feast be prepared for the group, if possible.
But
Mm-hmm.
How does the physical resist to try and resist the urge to draw my knife on the Gabriel filth?
You resist the urge to draw your knife upon the Gabriel filth. The maid nods, and the other servant, they both seem to go away, and within about 10 minutes, they come back with a few other butlers, it looks like, and they lay out for you basically like a 10-course giant feast dinner. And a sandwich.
Fuck yeah! Is it the most ornate sandwich?
It is a mutton sandwich that seems to have been made with nice Colonel Seed deli mustard.
I don't even like mustard, and I'll take that.
Sylvia,
Yes.
is there a place where I may go for a quick second to freshen up before I join everybody in this feast?
It would be unwise to leave.
If you could just escort me to the doorway and stand near the doorway, or just inside the doorway, I just gotta freshen up.
She does so.
Upon my return, I'm going to be dressed to the nines in my black and gold trench coat, and somehow my weapons are like glistening and shiny, and they look spectacular. Like I'm a noble. Like I should be. Like you can tell I'm nobility by the way I look.
Yep. I assume you all eat the food.
Yes.
Yep.
Sweet, you're all poisoned and dead. No, I'm just kidding. No, you guys have this food, and it's a variety of almost every dish you could imagine. The wine is excellent, and the food is the best any of you have ever tasted. Anywhere. Period.
Yes.
Apart from Alphonse, who does not partake
In the wine, you mean?
in any of it.
I partake a little bit in the food. I partake in 3 or 4 glasses of wine.
The wine is amazing.
That's my sandwich.
Sandwich is fucking good.
Fuck yeah, you can't beat a good sandwich.
You notice that Sylvia isn't really eating much in the food. She's mostly just drinking a particular wine glass bottle that has been set out just for her.
You know, pipe up as I will. Hey, Sylvia, I know you eat. Why not join us?
She gives a little bit of a chuckle and she says, I'm just a bit nervous, that's all.
Why?
Hey Sylvia, what are you drinking?
Count Vladimir. He's now going to be those
She actually kind of laughs and she says, stick out your wrist and I'll show you.
fucking all in.
Say what?
All in. I'll stick out my wrist.
You stick out your wrist and she bites and starts to drain you.
Fantastic.
You also notice that it's kind of hard to stay awake with your blood instantly getting siphoned. Roll me a composure. You're not doing so well. Imagine if you went to the blood bank and you wanted to like donate blood and they said, okay, and rather than slowly siphon it out to you like they do, they just went, You're kind of like she stops before it gets serious, but she cleans her mouth, cleans your wound, but you realize that she just probably took like 2 or 3 pints of blood from you, and you're kind of not doing too well.
I'm gonna give the classy wink before I just pass out.
There we go.
Fine taste, and I fall to the floor.
Oh my, Sylvia, you know better than to treat our guests that way. As you see a figure come down the stairway, dressed in crimson robes of great fashion, very similar to what actually Alphonse is wearing in his picture, except it's crimson. Man with long black hair and a goatee, and very tall frame, about 6'2", comes walking down the stairs, and in a very deep and suave voice, he says, "Well, I assume it's okay. I have yet to see you in so many years. Sylvia, please, come give your father a hug." Sylvia does so. She jumps up and gives him a big hug, and they stand at the edge of the table, embraced for a few moments. And she says, "My dear, your sisters are so desperate to see you. Would you please go and see them? I assure you, your guests are in good company." Sylvia kind of hesitates for a moment, but nods and heads upstairs. And he says, "Ah, yes, children." He turns to the rest of you and he says, "Children, they are gems of this world, more valuable than any gold. But alas, how rude of me. I am Vladimir Draculis. It is a pleasure to meet all of you. Welcome to my castle. And I see that you have helped yourselves to some great food and wine that my very gracious servants have laid out for you. And I am a man of few words, unfortunately, so I must sit down and start to eat, and I must ask, tell me, how may I assist you? It's not very often that many come out, or even that many can make it to this castle. Alive, anyway."
Well, come on, face, start doing the talking.
And I was going to. You see, sir, we originally came to this island with the idea that it was relatively uninhabited, uh, to expand the enterprises of our respective nations. I had assumed your daughter Sylvia included. However, now that I've seen that this is not the case, I need to ensure that the expanding enterprises I had planned are not infringing upon already claimed territory. But in order to do that whatsoever, I must return home.
Oh, yes. Oh, I know what is going on. Yes, Mr.
Baron Alphonse Rousseau of Chevelle.
Yes, Jericho has played a little bit of a prank. I guess he witnessed you coming onto the island and felt his territory was diminished. But to answer your question, my good Alphonse, you are certainly not infringing upon any territory of mine. The only territory I claim is the castle in and of itself. However, the island is a ever-shifting, ever-changing place. And yes, there are many who are actually living here. There are 7 lords in this island, actually. Do not really count myself as one of them, but the others do, so I guess I should. But in terms of infringing upon territory on the beachhead and the forest, no. He seems to actually go deep in thought. He says, "You may be inferring upon some of the local tribes, and I think one of the witch doctors who has claimed territory to that forest may very well be an enemy of yours due to the fact that he does not communicate as you or I do in a formal state, as it were. He's a bit of a savage. As for the other fallen lords, they are quite deep into the Isle yet for you to reach. Although I imagine at least a few of them that I know will certainly see you as a threat, regardless of whether you infringe upon their territories or not. There will most certainly be conflict for you if you intend to expand, but you will receive no threats from me. As for a way home, I think I may have something for you. It's not exactly the best way to travel, so to speak, but it could get you off the island.
That's gonna enter the mind of Alphonse and ask if there's a way to go to and from the island with this barrier up.
Is there a way to enter the island with the barrier up and to exit the island?
Oh, there is. It's just a bit, well, off. It's not quite as accurate as I've tried to. I've talked with my good friend down in the alchemy lab. I am actually quite a scientist myself, both in science and magic, and I have not figured out how to make the portal work very efficiently per se, especially with the storm brewing and Jericho's little prank that he has pulled. He is another one of the fallen lords. That is what we associate. That is, by the way, that is what we associate ourselves as, the rulers of this island. We are the fallen lords. And I am probably the only fallen lord on this entire island that you can have a decent conversation with who won't try to kill you. I swear, the others are so diminished of simple human communication. It's almost embarrassing. But yes, I can send you out of the island quite easily, and I can even get you back here. However, it may be a little bit painful and may not be quite as accurate as you might think it is. But it can definitely get you within at least a couple 100 miles of where you need to go.
Nice.
While something is better than nothing, I do prefer my usual methods of luxury. So, I suppose my second question would be, is there a way to remove this barrier?
Alas, Jericho is quite powerful. He would probably not allow you to leave so easily. Unfortunately, I think the only way to remove this supposed barrier is either to destroy him or his chrysalis. I believe Jericho is the third house of Damon. He seems to go deep in thought. I think he is the third house of Damon and is in the central location of the island. He is in the town of Salem. Although, if you seek to go there, I wish you luck. I have yet to ever see anyone from the outside world or even from our own branch go into that place and come out alive. He is in the ruined city of Hunters. Not to mention that group of Oni and other warriors also arrived on the island not too long ago.
I'm going to roll notice. I'm conscious.
Yes, you are
Someone
conscious.
say, Oni?
Oh, you're awake. Good. I was worried.
It's alright. Happens all the time.
Yes, a group of Oni appeared on the eastern shores of the island. It appears that the other fallen lords have actually been sneaking in some assets from the outside. It appears that the war on Gaia is indeed coming to our continent. I was hoping to avoid it. At least I do not want any part in it. I will just simply sit here in my castle.
Or in Gaia.
Can I try to read his mind for any information about my target?
You're welcome to try.
So while he's doing that, what's this war on Gaia?
Well, he was talking about like the war of the church and expanding and whatnot. He apparently seems to know everything that's going on in Gaia. Yeah, Vlad, you're not even close.
Well, shit.
You go and you're like, I want to read this guy's mind. Oh dear God, that is a very massive block. If I could put it in a figurative word, try to climb a wall, a flat brick wall that's slippery, covered in ice, with a sock.
Okay. Then, seeing that wall and that block, I'm going to, when I get a chance, when everybody else is done talking to him and he's still there eating his meal and everyone else seems to be not paying attention, I'm going to ask Arata to slip him the paper with the sketch of the target and have Arata ask if he's seen that man.
Draculis looks at the paper. He says, "Yes, yes. Ah, this was the one that came upon that shipment a few weeks ago. You will find this man in the town of Salem. Unfortunately, I would wish no one to go there, but that is where he is. This man is most likely working for the church in Salem. You will most likely find him. You will most likely find him there."
And then I'll nod to the Vlad, and you'll do that. And I want to ask Draculius what sort of help has been received from these Oni. Were there any people with them? Any distinguishing marks?
Yes, there were a few, and he kind of looks at you, a few dressed like yourself.
Is there a warrior in black?
There were a few warriors in black, yes. The warring amongst the other, like as I've said, the warring amongst the other fallen lords does not concern me. However, it may concern you, for I unfortunately do not hold much territory upon this island. I cannot speak for the others, and I cannot say that you won't always be in danger upon this island, but I can give you at least a front guarantee. I will not be the one to conflict you, and you may of course always ask for help. Any who are friends of my daughter Sylvia are friends of mine, and thank you so much for bringing her back to the castle. I was worried that she would never return.
Oh, well, that's no problem.
It's also at this point that Stein actually relays this to Vlad and anyone because he's noticed this due to his sight. This entire castle is a sanctum.
Right.
It is a level 10 sanctum.
Oh dear.
Meaning it currently has 36 effects going.
Huh. So don't do something stupid is what you're saying.
If you could calculate the amount of Xeon used to create this castle, you're guessing it was somewhere in the 8,000 range.
So don't do something stupid.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Arata, you forget that the Oni dressed in black was wounded. Gravely wounded in that battle against you.
No, he wasn't. Besides, people heal. People get better. Look at me.
Yes, but take it from me, there's always signs of wounds. He may know of one of those Oni warriors in that city that shows signs of a shoulder wound. You can ask.
That's a valid point, and I will ask Julius about this.
Yes, there was one that appeared to have a cast.
Is composure like general mental state, or is for that purely physical?
Composure can be for both.
Okay, let's do it. I would find it myself hard pressed to seem very normal at all at the mention of this.
Vladimir kind of looks and he says, well, your problems are indeed your own. Like I said, you may ask upon any help you need in the castle if you can ever find me. As I said, the castle is constantly shifting. Sometimes it is difficult to keep track of where things are. It may be difficult to find me again after this meeting. But if you need to get back, and if you need to get to and fro, I can at least give you one shot out and then one back in. Unfortunately, that's all I can offer you at this time. Mr. Alphonse, if you would please. I can direct you to an area that can send you back to at least within maybe a 50-mile radius of your home in Gabriel. And I can give you a crystal that can get you back to a specific location here on the island. Unfortunately, that is all I can do for you at this time. And if you leave this castle, you may never find it again. But if you do, just call for me, and I will gladly aid you with whatever I can. But you may stay as long as you like. I care not.
Alphonse, is there a way that you can ask him if there's any type of sigil or item that he and his alchemist can craft that could bind us to this castle to allow us entry?
I can read your mind, Mr. Vladimir, and I can give you an item that can at least aid you in finding the castle. I cannot give you an item that can direct you directly here. I can at least grant you safe passage and aiding in finding this castle. But to find this castle in and of itself is a very long and daunting task.
That's better than taking ages to just seek safe harbor.
He tosses you something.
I attempt to catch it.
You catch it. It's a brooch with a family crest. It is the crest of Vlad the Impaler, basically.
I put it on.
You put it on and you feel yourself kind of... You know that feeling you get when you slip into a warm bath and you're just like, yeah? That's what you feel.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm complete.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir.
Anytime. Now, I must get back to my studies. Mr. Alphonse, when you are ready, merely call my name and the castle will form itself for you to get to my location. And I will go through the procedure to get you home and back.
Of course, my only other question is, would I be able to send and receive supply ships through this method as well?
Well, I have one way out and one way back in. If you can get all of them in that one way back in, within, I'd say, about 2 or 3 ships, yes. That could work. If you need more than that, then I'm afraid you are out of luck, and you must go fight Jericho.
I believe I only need one ship.
That's about all I
That's
could
about
muster
all.
anyway.
So, before he leaves, I would like to ask about the fallen lords and basically who are they and what are their general temperaments like.
Ah, yes, of course. I should actually probably tell you about that just for your own concern and safety. There are 6 fallen lords, including myself. We own this continent, own territories of this continent. Most of the fallen lords are entities from other dimensions, other places in time, not from your local plane of Gaia. When the gods fought and left Gaia, there was a bit of a tear in the fabric of reality. I myself stay to the castle. It is my home, my dimension, my kin, my kingdom. The other fallen lords are as follows: Balor, Shiver, the Deceiver, Jericho, Cain, and Lilith. These fallen lords are variations of their planes of existence that they arrived from, and they are always warring. And now that our continent has appeared in your realm again, they could very well be a threat to Gaia, but that is not, well, my concern at the moment. Balor is the fallen lord of war. He is, of course, a conqueror, a fighter, a man who lives for battle and conflict. Shiver is a woman of lust and desire and a very powerful witch. Do not let her looks deceive you. The deceiver, need I say more, he is a liar and a thief, and he loves to manipulate others. Lilith is a fairy that was left over from her previous realm that was destroyed, and she has much vengeance upon anyone human. Jericho is the Lord of the Hunters, who seeks chaos and corruption through what he spreads. He is obsessed with his inventions that he has made over in that city. As for Soulblighter, as they call him, I don't know much about him.
Is Soul Blighter Cain?
Yes.
Okay.
Cain very rarely speaks to any of the other fallen lords, but he is just as savage as Balor when it comes to battle.
Hmm.
I would not be surprised if he was the one responsible for bringing this continent into this dimension.
Immensely powerful. And if it came down to it, how would you fare against any of them?
Without a shred of arrogance in my voice, I hope I do not come this off as the wrong way. I could at least fight one-on-one, on par with the other fallen lords, easily. At least all but Balor. As for Cain, I know not of how he fights. I do not know if I could take him in a one-on-one fight. If any of the other fallen lords had any sort of help whatsoever, even from their simplest of minions, I would not stand a chance one-on-one. But in a fair one-on-one fight on neutral ground, I'm about on their level. With exception of course, Balor.
I'll not. I see.
What if you had the advantage?
If I had the advantage, I imagine I could take all of them. but none of them would be so foolhardy as to set foot in my territory.
What if they were tricked to set foot into your territory?
There are those who have tried. The fallen lords are very old and very clever.
You see, you gave us this crystal. We could go out and then in. What if we used it to go into Salem, then used it to return closer to here? With reason of you guys tinkering with it a little bit longer to make it more accurate, so that we could get into Salem.
I do not seek any conflict with the other fallen lords, nor can I use my technology in their realms. For you see, in this castle, there are rules and applications. Certain things apply. When you go to the other lands of the fallen lords, certain rules do not work and certain rules do. You understand that this continent is a mess. To try and teleport, if you will, into one of their strongholds or even their areas would be like trying to find a needle amongst 10,000 haystacks. Without magic. Stop. Stop.
I think I see. Then, what if we were able to hold up their minions and their armies, whittle down their armies slowly, and then at the right time, call for you for assistance for you to strike against their leader? And maybe a few of us to provide you assistance for the tipping hand.
You truly are a man of war. Perhaps in the far future I would consider aid in that matter. As of now, no. And any army that would ever seek to face the fallen lords would not last long. I pray that none of you ever have to deal with any of them. And I pray that you at least colonize the first part of the beachhead and forest that starts on the northernmost part of this continent. There you will find much peace, at least for a while.
We've already run into some previous settlers that we've sent.
Yes,
Being possessed and
that's
used against us.
that sounds like Sakash's work.
Can you tell us about him?
Sakash is a tribal barbarian who runs one of the largest tribes on the island, although the tribe recently had a falling out and they split. The smaller portion now lurks upon that forest that you saw just before you entered my castle. He runs the more western side of the forest and hides among the cliff faces and the mountainside. He is a very powerful shaman in terms of spirits. He also is specialized at bringing certain people back from the dead. He tends to like to make abominations, as some call them, to go out and fight and do his bidding. He will most likely not negotiate with you in the slightest. The only way to ever find peace in that area would be to kill him.
Then, my fellow gentlemen, the only thing standing in my way is a shaman that we should go and give a proper Gabrielense greeting.
Gabriel Lenz. You're a town of merchants. You can't buy him. Country. That's what I meant.
I believe what
We're a country of capitalists, and the one thing that capitalists are better at than trade is imperialism.
and expansion. Does this shaman employ giant tigers?
Vlad just kind of shrugs.
He's clearly too, no offense, too classy to care.
You get the impression he doesn't know a whole lot more about the island because he mostly spends time in this castle. Because if you guys saw the defenses that this castle had, why would you guys ever want to leave?
I'm gonna talk directly to him without anybody else hearing me. Do you happen to have any books about telepathic powers or anything else relating to that I could borrow and study to increase my knowledge about this stuff?
He thinks for a moment. He snaps his fingers, and the entire wall next to you that was mostly just paintings, torches, and wall now immediately transforms into a bookshelf. Large bookshelf. He looks down, he says, Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, 44, 46, 47, yes, here we go. You may try this. Unfortunately, due to the safety mechanisms on this place, this will take you possibly many months to fully decipher, but this could help you in the end, yes.
Is there any possible way that I could borrow this book and bring it back to you at another time?
Of course. The book will return to the castle of its own accord anyway.
Well, thank you. And if you can think of any other books while we're away, you can send them to our camp on the beach. My tent is the black one.
As I said, I will do my best. With the way this castle moves, it's very difficult to get to know people. Although,
I understand.
Although if Sylvia ever decides to venture out again, you could definitely try the same way you came in. Like I said, once you leave this castle, you may not see me or this castle again for some time.
I have the brooch. I could try following those directions.
He nods.
Alphonse, I have no further business. Dracovius, do you have anything?
Dracovius shakes his head.
Does anyone else have any further questions for our hosts? I take that as a no.
Vlad's gonna render a bow to the hosts.
Vlad gives a nice bow. And he says, Mr. Alphonse, do you wish to return to Gabriel now?
Unfortunately, not quite. I would rather see to the solution to my only remaining problem.
He nods. You notice the wall behind you guys forms into a long hallway and then shrinks back, and there's a giant two-pronged entryway door behind you guys. The exit is that way.
One quick question before we leave. Does this crystal only work within the castle, or is he able to use it to return to Gabriel from within our campsite?
He may use it at any time. He just may only use it twice. And be warned, it is not accurate.
Is there anything that he has to say to be able to use it?
He merely crushes the crystal. There are two crystals on the string. Crushes one, it teleports him to where he wishes to go the most. Crushes number 2, it returns him to another place he wishes to be at the most. Once that is used, there is nothing I can do to help.
And is it going to be only him, or whatever is he and whatever he is touching?
I believe we were told it could take up to 2 ships.
Basically, it cannot exceed presence 150. Basically, if you're carrying 2 ships of items, no big. If you're carrying 2 ships of people, that might be a problem. It can teleport up to about a handful of people, otherwise the presence is too much. That's why when Alphonse looked at him and said supplies, he was like, oh, no problem. But if you want to get people, that's going to be a little bit tougher.
So he wouldn't be able to take back the whole party, but he'd be able to pretty much go there and bring back supplies?
You could potentially take the whole party to Gabriel and back, as long as you didn't bring back a shitload of supplies.
The trick is going back and forth repeatedly as I need to for my mine.
Well, I think we would need to do one trip for immediate supplies. After we deal with the shaman, do one trip for immediate supplies, and then we have to go deal with the town of Salem to get your route reestablished. Get our route reestablished, because Hendel's going to be using that route too.
We didn't. The town of Salem's not the dock, is it?
No.
No. But that's where the spell's coming from.
I'm back. I want to go get some water. What happened?
I believe it's been made very clear that we're not going to be able to solve the barrier problem for quite some time.
Yes.
Once we return to Gabriel, we'll have to look into further enterprise elsewhere until such a time that we can return and reestablish.
You can see what the King of Hendel needs done.
Oh, I have many other options for further enterprise from my own home in Chevelle, a mansion that I'm starting to miss quite dearly.
Right, but I think it's also been, from what I was around for, it's been made pretty fucking clear that we do have some time. We don't have all the time in the world, and we do have our own outpost to maintain. So I would say we have time to get stronger, because we fucking need to. Secure a foothold.
Like, we have time to get stronger, like really quickly, like epic montage type of quick.
No.
Expect that once we return to Gabriel, we won't be returning to this island for a while.
Right. But at the same time, we can't just leave it either. We've been clearly given like a definitive time. Well, not so much definitive, just that we know once we leave, a clock ticking.
A clock ticking to what?
Well, there's a few possibilities. There's see Jericho and his little band of misfits in this town Salem that I forgot to mark down.
Because as of right now, with that barrier projecting, there is literally no way to go to and from the island without some sort of mystical sense, or maybe a rowboat.
And from my point of view, he brought in the church. He brought in Oni, and he brought in all this stuff from the mainland.
And he brought in your target.
He brought in my target, who said works for the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's bringing in all this stuff, and then he puts up
Stirring
that
the pot.
barrier. And then he puts up that barrier, which tells me he's prepping to take the entire island from all the other lords, which means we have a limited window to act before shit hits fan.
Oh man, are we going to go army building?
That's why I was asking about the if we start knocking off some of his army and make it an even fight between him and Jericho, and then make sure that no one else can enter that fight, and then have a couple of us on his side, if he'd be able to take down Jericho. That's why I was asking that, just to be able to knock him out of the picture early, so he couldn't. His plan doesn't survive first contact with the enemy.
You've also noticed that you guys are literally standing alone in front of the door now. There is no one else here besides you guys.
Not even Sylvia?
Nope.
No, she went off to be with her sisters, remember?
Mm.
Yes, the love of your life left to be with her sisters.
So we're going to return to the base camp.
Yes.
Once there, we're going to wait for any of the reinforcements that I have ordered to arrive, if they have made it. And then we were going to, much to, I'm sure, their dismay, return to Gabriel.
Aren't we gonna deal with the shaman first before we return to Gabriel?
As far as I'm concerned, this island is currently a lost cause. We'll be returning as much as we can.
It's not wrong. Like, we just,
We'll have to seek enterprise again when we return.
yeah, it doesn't seem like we'll be able to. You know what it's like? It's like fucking, oh, what's the game we played together? So many games. Ooh, you know what? Warframe. That's it. It's like, remember you're level 1, Vlad, and then you, we took you to like a level 33 mission.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see this shit going.
You should join our. You should join our guild, Sarge.
Yeah, I'm good, bro. I got my own.
I've been barking up that tree for like a year. It's not happening.
Yeah.
I'm in Sarge's Warframe group.
You guys should definitely hang out with us. We got some great players.
My clan is literally one guy, and it's me.
We are four people. Yeah, count it 4. I know that because I can count it on one hand.
Impressive.
It impresses me because usually when I'm counting, I have to use 2 hands. I can't count past that.
Huh. Sorry about the delay. I hope the dinner was good. You see Sylvia kind of come down the stairs.
It's fantastic. Thank you. I didn't have any water.
I had my fill.
Well, I've decided to continue to on my previous goals. I will definitely return to my family when needed, but for now, I'm needed outside.
Mm-hmm. Your father was very lovely. Same with your mother. Very courteous. It was pleasant.
Indeed, I quite like your family. They exude class.
Well, they are 18,000 years old.
That's quite a lot of practice.
It was a
Not a day over
rare
21.
treat. It was a rare treat for me to be able to actually be able to act like a noble.
Well, I suppose I'm with you and your group, wherever you wish to go or do. My documentation of the world is not done yet.
I, for one, am glad to have you along.
Same here. I mean, you already kind of marked me as a blood bag, didn't you?
Blood bag? Question mark.
A source of nourishment. Wine.
She kind of just blinks. She kind of just blinks at you like, "Are you serious?"
Yes.
She shrugs. She's like, "If you insist, I suppose." Well, where to now? What's our next step? It sounds, from what I heard before I came back down, you all have a lot on your plate, a lot of different options and routes that you could take.
Yes, I believe Alphonse was discussing that we should return to Gabriel and seek out other ventures and other fortunes. Whereas
Perhaps.
I still have this contract that I need to fulfill on this island. If I
But
do not fulfill this contract, let's just say bad things happen.
I'm going to chime in here and just say, look, we've clearly just been outclassed by this whole island. There's not much we can actually take. If we must return back, then I say we compromise. We at least secure our portion of the forest by taking out Dikash. We'll buy ourselves a little more time, ensure at least a bit of the safety from our outpost and other outposts for that matter, and then work from there.
First things first, let's get back to our campsite and go from there.
Now,
You all head back to the campsite. You see Tanya there. And a lot of you see this, he's not here right now, but his character is there. A very, very large Dunian. With big horns, wings spread wide, and clawed feet, and armor. Like if Hellboy was on roids.
oh boy.
Actually, funny, when you guys walk out the front door of the castle, you almost stumble and trip over each other just in the courtyard of your fort.
Oh my.
Well, that was fast.
Just gonna turn around like your house is awesome. Hello.
Zeta, speaking of which, you're literally sitting at the forge, making, something, and you see all of your allies stumble out of a small hole back into the courtyard of the fort.
Hello. Actually, good question. How long has it been since I've been at the forge?
Well, you've been at the forge, and your allies have been out doing adventuring and whatnot, and they left at, like, say, 8 this morning and have just gotten back, and it's like 2 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. So I've been at the forge for at least a full whole day.
Yep.
Well, you? Tanya says as she has the hammer in her hand.
Looking very confused that her allies just stumbled through a dimensional hole.
It's more of the, it's weird. She has the hammer. She could throw it. If it's weirder shit that comes out that
Come on, Dracovius, roll a style.
thing.
Vladimir, you stumble. Alphonse, you manage to kind of land somewhat professionally. Arata, you stumble. And Dracovius stumbles. Basically, everybody stumbles except Alphonse.
Except the
She
boss
grabs
who
her
manages
claymore, which
to
is
keep
right
his
next
footing.
to the forge. It's like, okay, what do I need to smack?
No threat here, Tanya. We just came back from my father's estate.
And you didn't think of inviting me?
Well, you were
No,
busy
you're
at the
too
time.
important.
Not to mention, out of character, you were not here, so yeah.
I know. It makes the most logical sense that she would actually say, and you didn't think of inviting me.
Well, we do apologize, Tanya. You seem to be quite caught up in your work.
Speaking of, gather your work because we won't be staying long.
Oh. We relocating, or this place is not too...
At this point, I'm gonna enter into the minds of the entire party, except for the two that I don't know. The new big dude with the horns and the one that's traveling with us, and go, I need to tell you guys something.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tanya's saying back to you in her head.
Stein and Arata know this because they work for me. And I've already recruited Sylvia here to work for me as well. But I have a target in the town of Salem that I must eliminate. It is a duty that I cannot deny. And before I go back to the mainland, I have to complete this task.
Going to the town of Salem now is a suicide. You may attempt your task before we return to the mainland, but I can assure you I will have no part of it, and you will most likely end up dead.
That's why I'm asking you guys for thoughts on trying to convince or see if we could try to lure my target out of the town of Salem into a place where I can eliminate him.
Knowledge does Tanya know of Salem?
Nothing.
Yeah, no one's going to know of anything of Salem because it's a town that's deeper in the island.
Okay, then yeah. Can't help on that one. It's like,
No.
question is,
I have a proposal, Vladimir.
Yes.
Since Alphonse seeks no more fortune and glory from this island at the moment, I may have a way to fix our problems. I think I know someone who can get us into Salem and get us close to your target. and I myself have a way off the island. However, it's somewhat dangerous, although I know that probably doesn't bother you. If you or another wished to stay and we wish to pursue this task, we may, and your allies may go about their business elsewhere in Gaia.
Well, technically, I'm still stuck under contract to protect those two. She points to the two nobles that are her paycheck and also continue to make this weapon for
Stein and
with the
Arata
minerals.
and Tanya, I release you from your contracts from me. I will not let you put your lives on the line for this task. You may come along if you feel it is necessary. Alphonse, I
Unfortunately,
understand
I
that
don't
you
like to do a half-ass job.
Alphonse, I understand that you do not want to risk your ventures. That is understandable. That is your way. That is not my way with my current position. I need to do this task, for that is my way. Sylvia, what is your way entail?
It will involve asking for some old help, some old friends that I have on the island. It will probably take a few weeks, but we could probably accomplish this task.
Arata, what say you? Are you staying or are you traveling with Alphonse?
I need to hear more about this before I make a decision, but I want to make it perfectly clear. This is a bad fucking idea.
I'm going to request that Stein travel with Alphonse. Alphonse, I'm going to put Stein under your command.
Then I hope when we do eventually return, you're still alive for me to return the favor.
As long as, Arata, you take care of that sword I gave you, I'm all happy.
Arata, travel with Alphonse. I release you from your duty to me, and I transfer that duty to Alphonse, and I make one request of you.
Hmm.
Carry my signet to Hendel if you never see me again, and return it to the king.
Very well. That's good, lad. Thumbs up. But
Also, Arata, you know the way to contact the men.
mm-hmm.
You know who I speak. Let them know what has transpired and how to contact.
uh, let's see. Sylvia, how instant is this way out that you would have? How long does it take?
This way out of the island is very difficult and dangerous, but if we can make it to the town of Salem and Vlad can accomplish this task, we may have a way off the island.
Well, at least I get to do some more cleaving smashing.
All right, we need to clear this up.
Tanya
Where
was
did
for
this?
Alphonse.
Yes, we need to make that perfectly clear. It was never the two of them. It was just one of them.
Technically, you never knew that I was a count until like we were already on the island.
Technically, Tanya didn't even know of your title. She just knew that you are noble and you are the one she has to protect between you and
You
Alphonse.
Oh,
no,
where is this
were
coming
paid to
from?
protect. You were only paid to protect Alphonse, and he was like, "Yeah, you can protect him too, but you're paid to protect me." Is I think
Yeah,
what
so
was
it's like.
really the thing.
But then again, you did say that you would actually pay her to actually make the weapon. She's dedicated on that.
Maybe this job is more important than that.
And you can always create the weapon and bring it back to him.
Can't give it back to
Yeah,
a dead man.
Or if I meet up with you guys on the mainland.
That's why Tanya will actually make sure you come back.
You don't have to go with me.
I should make it pretty clear here. Vlad has a second character ready to go because this is probably going to be a very long split.
I see.
Is that the implication here, bot? Is that what that up?
That's what I'm trying to find out. Is that the implication? Is like you're gonna sacrifice this one to make the secondary character?
No.
Oh.
I'm not sacrificing any characters on purpose.
Vlad's not going to be dead. He's just going to be in popcorn for a very long time.
Doing a mission
Fair.
because he's part of the men of the trench coats and he has a mission to accomplish.
Okay, fair. So Tanya will go and possibly make the weapon for you. She hates being paid in advance in a way, but
Technically, I haven't paid you for the weapon yet because I still have all my gold.
she needs the material. A good material to actually make that weapon too.
Another joins.
Floor plan of it.
Hello, people.
Hey, Nate.
Hello.
The Swole Patrol is in town.
Yeah,
Welcome.
again.
So is it
Who are the
decided
two other?
that Vladimir and Sylvia are going to go off on this mission, just the two of them?
Well, it depends. At this point here, as a DM, I'm kind of giving you guys the sandbox open route. Basically, like, this is kind of where you guys can decide to go and do what you want to do. I've given you this really cool island with a lot of resources and a lot of cool stuff on it. But if you guys don't want to do anything on it, that's fine. You can go back to Gaia. You can have fun in Gaia. Like I said, it's all sandbox from here. If you guys want to split the party, this is actually why I allowed you guys to make multiple characters if you wanted. You may do so. If there's going to be a small group going on the island and a small group going elsewhere, it will probably take, a little bit more kind of time bouncing around between them, but it's not a big deal. At least this way, players can, do their role play and whatnot and all that. But if there's something that another player wants to role play with another person who's on the island, it would probably be a good idea to either A, get that out of the way, or B, go with them, because once you guys use this seal, the characters on the island and the characters on Gaia are probably not going to see each other for some time.
Good question. Can Tanya actually have an apprentice blacksmith?
If you're willing to make another character who's an ally of Tanya, and you would like to keep Tanya on the island, or vice versa, have Tanya go and then have the other person stay on the island, that's fine. This is why I allowed you guys to make two characters. As long as your characters that you make know your other characters, so it's not like a massive issue of getting everyone introduced over and over again, it's not a problem. In other words, if Mr. Vladimir knows this necromancer that's being made, then there's no issue. In all honesty, a cool thing.
Or alternatively, Vladimir might not know the necromancer, but somebody else in the party might.
Yes. Alternatively, what would be a nice idea if you guys, can't really decide on everything, is to have everyone make two characters and just split them.
Right.
Because I know for a fact that Arad is going to probably want to stay on the island, as is Vlad, because they've got enemies on the island. Alphonse has no more business on the island. Nathan's character is kind of Alphonse's, well, mass bodyguard. And of course, Dracovius goes with whoever. And
Tanya basically
and,
is like.
and Stein is technically Vlad as well, so. In all honesty, the only two people really going back to the island, per se, is Alphonse and his warlord.
So worse is that Tanya does. She can go anywhere. Doesn't help.
So really what you have to decide, Zeta, is whether you want Tanya to stay on the island or go back and have your other characters, go on the island or go back. In all honesty, for Tanya's case, I think it'd probably be a bit more in her case to stay on the island and to have the other character on on Gaia helping out her contacts.
For a new man in the Swole Patrol, the choice is pretty obvious too. The Kyrios should probably go to the mainland.
What about Edris?
Well, it makes sense for the.
I am going to have. I am probably going to have Jared make another character, but Edris is actually going to go and stay on the island, and his other character will be on the mainland.
Okay. You said Stein stays on the island?
Yes. He's basically, I don't know what his character's eventually going to decide, but from the way he's put his backstory, the moment you released him from service, he's going to say, okay, yeah, I stay with your service.
And hey, the island has new material
Indeed.
to actually make better weapons too.
That's why I said Tanya would be more interested in staying on the island.
Yeah, she would stay on the island. Killing anything that comes messing with her shit.
So, Arado, what's your decision? Which box are you going to join?
As much as she likes having Arada around.
I mean,
Sure.
Sylvia's staying on the island. You going to stick with the love of your life?
Well, in all honesty, I think at this point, another reason I did this was not only to give you guys a sandbox auction, but to give you guys kind of another variant on a character in case one character got bored or the other. And not only that, it would let me as a DM and some other people as characters get a learning experience on making different characters.
Yeah, that was definitely a learning experience making that necromancy.
Yep, I figured it would be. That's why I encouraged it. So basically, what I'm probably going to say here as a DM, at least for my recommendation, is that Vlad, Errata, Stein, and Tanya stay on the island. Everyone else, with exception of Jason, since I don't know what Jason wants to do at this point, go with Alphonse, and you guys can fix, all that problems that's going on in the world of Gaia at the moment. The rest have their own business to deal with on the island.
I would also like to point out that Arata has business in the Gaian continent as well. So he's got about a 50-50 tear.
That's an easy point.
Also, I'm going to take my signet ring and hand it to Alphonse and see if he can give that to the king of Henland.
I'd be glad to keep it close, but I'll be returning it to you when I see you alive.
So if Odd's recommending two characters, Chuck, I want you to feel as if I'm talking to you face to face. Should I bring in Eckert?
Characters have to be, well, surprise, surprise, declaration tonight, you guys have hit level 2.
Woohoo!
So the new characters you make have to start at level 2.
Awesome.
Wait, yay! I did
Think
nothing.
of what
I'm
to
level
make.
2.
You did nothing
Woo!
and you leveled up. Shut up.
I'm the greatest character ever. I showed
Okay.
up.
Question. How do I level 2?
That is
You-
also a good question.
You get 100 DP, and you may spend that 100 DP on based around what your class that you picked says you can.
You can go. You can put 50% of it into your primary method of attacking and defending, so attack and block, or like magic projection, psychic projection, that kind of stuff. And depending on what your class restrictions are, determines what the rest of it goes to. If you're a fighter class, generally 10% of it will go to either weapons modules, martial arts, or Kai. If you're a psychic or a mage, most of that 60% goes to your magic or your
60
psychic.
or 50 at least.
60 or 50 at least, just depending on what you are. And then the other 40 to 50% is basically limited to your secondary abilities.
Okay, so I'm looking at Warrior Mentalist. It says +5 attack per level, +5 block per level, and +5
Going Warrior
dodge per level.
Mentalist? Nice.
Yes, those you get
Yeah.
for free.
Yeah, that stuff
Okay.
you get for free when you level up. You know what, Sarge?
Yes.
Alphonse is a big fan of the supernatural. So I think you should bring in not Eckhart per se, but A.U. Eckhart.
A new Ecker. A whole new world. And so on and so forth.
Okay, and then I can spend 50% of it on psychic points. So psychic points 15 plus 1 psychic projection 2. It says limit 50%, so I get a total of 50% of those points. And then, so 50 plus 15, so 65 points. Is that what I'm reading here?
And Nathan, do not worry.
No,
I already put your
Go ahead.
character at level 2 and optimized him, so don't worry about that.
Oh, okay.
Glad you're looking at my sheet.
That's what it says for Warrior Mentalist.
I wonder if I should make my secondary character a Tau or make them an assassin.
I wanted to go Tau.
Do Tau. Tau is so much fun.
What does that mean when in Discord?
It means you, for 2 points, that's what you raise your projection by.
Yeah,
By
but
what?
But
psychic
you're not
point-
using your psychic projection for attacking much. You're using it for... Hold on just 1 second.
1. What's up?
Damn it.
Yeah, you're mostly using your projection for determining whether someone's in range or not.
Mhm.
So like mind reading, currently you'd probably have to be in contact with them. Mental communication has its own range, so you wouldn't use your projection at all there. But you're gonna want to save some of your points so that you can take the. Wait, you're a warrior mentalist.
Mhm.
Funny thing.
Mhm.
Oh god.
Because you have a 50% limit in combat and a 50% limit in psychic abilities, there's one thing you can take that is actually both of those things, and you can use all 100 points on it.
Mhm.
It allows you to use your attack and dodge scores for your psychic powers.
You're talking about the psychic
The
module?
psychic projection module.
What's that?
It would let you use your attack and dodge scores as your psychic projection.
And that's not bad for 100 points. And you kind of miss out, but at the same time, you just change the stat completely.
That's not that
It,
bad.
and it makes your psychic illusion much better.
Let's do it.
And that's level 2 for you.
All right, so how do I add that?
So out of curiosity, go ahead and we can do a little bit of role play here for Mr. Nathan. Nate, you there? Nathan.
Let's see.
Nathan.
I bet he's peeing.
Yep. We also need to decide what his next character for Nathan will be. But Jason, since you've been here and I know you haven't said much, would Dracovius stay on the island or go to the mainland? And if you make another character, vice versa.
I honestly feel like Dracovius would stay on the island because he doesn't really have much on the mainland as of family, friends, or anything because he's pretty much been excluded by anybody and everybody until
Excellent.
he found you guys.
That makes sense.
Oh, Chuck, what business do I have exactly in Gaia?
You have an entire clan that you're attempting to protect.
Ah, yes, yes.
You can't very well do that in a different dimension.
Well, it's not even that. It's I'm working to get to that level.
Two things I need to point out also as the DM. One, the opposite character must be either on the mainland or island. Both characters can't be on one or the other unless you guys actually want to do that with your characters. Two, your character, your new character, your other character, must at least know your other character or at least know someone of the party to avoid conflict with the party.
Right.
My new character is going to be an enemy of Alphonse Rousseau.
Why do you hurt me like this?
I was gonna say, Zahn, I'm like, stop killing yourself. Stop killing yourself.
Wait, but the Alphonse person is the one I owe a lot of money to. That I can't let him die.
Exactly. You're his warlord bodyguard. You're definitely going with him, at least in that character. The next character we make you, Nate, can stay on the island. And the other reason I do this as a DM is that if a lot of people don't show up, or people are just showing up once in a blue moon, or things aren't lining up, we can just go to the island and do that. And if those people don't show up, then we just go to the mainland and do that. This way, it gives everyone an excuse to do something.
Yeah.
And it allows all the characters to follow their goals of what they want to do without me as the DM saying, no, you stay on this island, suck my dick.
I say, no, I don't want to. I'm going to suck that dick over there.
Oh no, that dick is
That was
poisonous. That dick is poisonous and filled with spines. You die. Suck it.
You know what? Just for that, I would take instance, just so I could possibly not die as quickly.
You know what? How about this? I'm going to suck my own dick.
You are one
Marilyn Manson.
Have fun
All
with
right,
that.
so Marilyn Manson, real quick. This psychic projection module, that means if I have to do a projection check, I use my attack or dodge instead of
Depending on if
psychic
you're
projection.
doing it offensively or defensively, yes.
Before we get really bubbed up on the players here, and before I stop the recording, I believe Mr. Nathan would like to do a little bit of role play for Mr. Krios' arrival. Alphonse, would you like Mr. Alphonse, would you like to roleplay with Mr. Krios about what is
Of
going to
course.
happen?
Of course I would. I'm very happy to see Mr. Stillknocked again.
'Tis a pleasure, my employer. All right. So where do we start?
Nathan, your character is sitting in the campsite, kind of waiting because this is the area and the place where you were told to wait, and you see Alphonse and a few other associates stumble out of a dimensional portal, and they have a little chat, and then Alphonse comes up to you.
Excuse me, but Alphonse stepped lightly out of the portal.
Well, Alphonse did not
Oh yeah,
stumble,
let's
but
not
everyone
forget
else
about
did.
Tanya with her hammer just watching this.
I look up to my employer and be like, so?
Don't you mean you look down at your employer?
Well, I'm sitting down, so maybe I look him in the eye.
Don't you
You
mean
look across to your employer.
Don't you mean you look down at him anyway?
Yeah, this is true. I'm pretty damn tall, so yeah, I guess I look down at you.
How tall is he?
He's 7'9".
Okay, he's actually slightly taller than Tanya.
So I acknowledge that you're approaching, and I kind of like dip my head, like, orders.
Alphonse immediately perks up and claps his hands. Mr. Stillknocked, I'm so glad that you made it.
Ah, yes. Anything to fulfill a debt, sir.
Indeed, and Alphonse is going to turn to the rest of the party. If you would, everyone, unfortunately, you haven't had much time to introduce and get to know each other, but this is one of my closest associates, Kyrios Stillknocked. And I will gesture to the giant monstrous man behind me with the horns and the wings and the claws.
I doubt that he could take me on in an arm wrestle.
I wouldn't push your luck.
No, Tanya would actually do that.
I know. Brandon is told out of character. Brandon has informed me of some of the stats. That would be an interesting contest.
Oh, it would be an interesting contest, indeed.
I think you both have the same strength, so it would just be a matter of who rolled better, but I really
Tanya
don't think it'd be wise. It would literally, you'd both wind up breaking your arms going, oh, god damn it.
No, I would actually take for level 2, I would take, instead of actually buying a plus to myself, I would take the advantage of the being able to use a psychic one.
While Rosetta takes a shit over there, let's get back to roleplay between Nate and
Ha
Alphonse here.
ha ha.
So I stand up as he says my name, and I just like incline my head to the rest of the party, and I like, and what is it you desire for me to do here, Alpha, Lord Baron? Is that the title we have for you now?
Yes, Lord Baron works, Baron Rousseau.
Well,
You could be the classy
Sir.
sir and just be like, Baron.
He's the bear of Barringtons.
Well,
Kyrios, initially I had intended to use your immense talents to help me settle on the island. However, an interesting situation has come up, and I will be returning to the mainland, so I will have you follow in tow, as well as any others who would see fit to remove themselves.
interesting.
Which, as time passes, appears to be fewer and fewer of my comrades.
Indeed. Well, as long as you have that, as long as I owe you that huge amount of money, again, thanks for that. Never would have made it all the way to Bato without that. Appreciated. As I kind of nudge my sword on my shoulder, and I'm just like, my loyalty is yours.
And of course, so long as I have that loyalty, I have no intention of collecting on that debt.
Well, as long as you give me enough people to stab, I think we'll be getting along just fine.
Oh,
What kind of weapon do you use,
don't worry about that.
big dude?
A Norse style Zweihander. It's almost as tall as I am.
I love how you're completely bullshitting your actual weapon.
No, it's
What
a
is his
Zweihander.
actual weapon?
He hasn't told you what his actual weapon is. I'll let him do that.
It's a two-handed sword with a crisp blade.
Bullshit.
I think Tanya could possibly maybe make a good one for him when he comes back.
It's not necessary. Don't worry about it.
Like, oh, thank you for the offer, but I just like, no, I'm fine. This one really came at a bargain price. It's sentimental, if you would.
Bargain price, true, but then again, if you're under his employment, I guess you get the 75% off price.
You could say that. And I kind of give a wicked grin.
That's only if you could at least beat me in an arm wrestle.
Oh, well, maybe next time. I believe we have some business in the mainland to take care of. So, I turned to Alphonse and like, after you, Lord.
What about Clocker, Chuck? What if I bring in Hans? Part of
The
your
question is he
underground
on the
network.
tank saying they're scratching the paint?
Forgive Zeta. He has his own language sometimes.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Alright.
Out of curiosity, Errata, is Errata going to stay on the island or go to the mainland?
I don't fucking know. Because like you said, it goes both ways with me.
Well, if Sylvia did say she found a way off the island, it might actually be good to go with the island route and then return to the mainland when, that whole thing is done.
Yeah. And I imagine whatever it is you got stewing in your brain involves the island, so it just makes sense to stay there.
It just means it's a two-way triangle for him, possibly.
Heh.
Eh.
I really don't think Alphonse needs to worry with Mr. Krios standing over him.
Yeah, I'm just going to give whoever said that a look of like, please. At which point I'm going to draw out the sword and just kind of start sharpening it.
The sword is in good condition since you've been keeping good care of it, and you're sharpening it to a nice T, and you hear that familiar little whisper saying, I seriously hope I get to taste blood soon.
In my
Does
head, I'll
Tanya
just
hear
kind of,
that while
No.
he's...
No one hears this but Krios.
Okay.
I just respond to it soon. Didn't that mug taste good? Told you to have to wait for a while after that.
His blood was pure. Sadly, it did not taste as good as some of the impure that you fought over in Conrad, but it works.
As long as the Night Lord wishes my services, he shall have it. I just have a certain, in my mind, show the sort of picture of Alphonse, a certain debt that must be repaid.
Indeed, this one will lead us to great things. It is best to stay at his side.
I just smile to myself.
I sense this man will make many enemies. Enemies for us to kill.
Good. And don't forget my end of the bargain. I let you kill people, I get my palace and kingdom back.
Of course. Why ever would I turn you down?
I don't know, maybe it's the fact that you would happily drink my soul as much as the next person who wielded you.
My dear Krios, I am a sword. It's what I do. It's in my nature.
What a chunk of junk, and I put it back after mumbling to myself. And as you saw, yes, well-kept blade. Black steel, though.
Oh, so if it's black steel, that actually would pique Tanya's interest a little.
But
See?
please see the Discord.
Again with that?
Yes, it's applicable to so many situations.
Alright, so definitely going to do a little bit more roleplay here. Before you guys start getting into the characters and whatnot, is there any other roleplay that anyone wants to do before the group splits and Alphonse crushes one of the crystals?
Alphonse.
No, I'll give my goodbyes and just say, but we'll see you later. I got to do this to make
Goodbye.
sure
Go to
he
my
doesn't get
death
killed.
shop. The durable, or I forget what was Tanya's last name. Damn it.
Tanya Mario and Luigi Mario.
Nope.
No.
Tanya Demise.
So Tanya goes back to the forge.
Demise.
Arata says his goodbyes. Dracovius says his goodbyes, I assume. Stein and Eridus will give their nod of approval. Vlad?
Baron Alphonse Rousseau. It's been a pleasure fighting against you. Or fighting alongside you, rather.
It's like
I wish you luck on your travels, and wish you a speedy return to this island where I hope to see you again.
I wish you much the same. I do expect to see you alive. I'll be quite irritated if I don't.
I do ask one more thing of you when you return to the mainland. With my signet ring, you notice there is a black trench coat on it. In Hendel, there is the main city of Karlsruhe. Seek out the king, let him know what has transpired here, and what you have established here as a partnership with myself. And then also, there is an inn and a brothel nearby the castle. Go inside, show the signet ring to the innkeeper, and request the room in the back. Tell the man I sent you, and explain to him what has happened on this island. You'll be met with mystery, but you will not be harmed. That signet ring will be your safe passage through Hendel.
I shall do it at my earliest convenience.
Avoid the sticky finger people, if possible.
Thank
True
you,
that.
Baron.
Good advice indeed.
So does Mr. Alphonse crush the crystal?
He'll gather his carriage to his ship and then crush the crystal.
You crush the crystal. The world around you, and both Alphonse and Krios witness this. Everyone else just sees them vanish. Alphonse and Krios, you see the world around you swirl and bend and weave, and it feels like your bodies are being pushed through a strain out a funnel, and then you spin and spin and spin. The world spins and continues to spin, and then it stops abruptly, and you both fall about 5 feet. and you are both on the ship with your supplies in the main dock of Gabriel.
So wait, was I 12 feet in the air?
No, you were only 5 feet in the air.
So I was standing then.
Yep.
Excuse me, I have to go for just a second.
You cut off after you said in the main dock.
Yeah, they arrived in the main dock.
Of where?
Gabriel.
Gabriel?
The main shipping port.
Okay.
Talk about fast travel. It would have taken me 3-4 weeks to fly here.
Nathan, would you roll me a composure check? Oh wait, I need to send you an invite to the Roll20 page.
I'm already on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you are.
Yeah.
Roll
Been
me
here the whole time.
So Nate, let me go ahead and give you a show how to roll a specific thing on your sheet here.
1d100 plus whatever skill I'm rolling.
Yeah, there's an easier way to do it. Are you on the general part of your sheet right now?
Yes.
Okay, let's say you wanted to roll acrobatics. You click on acrobatics.
Okay.
Then you hit submit. Then you hit submit. And that's how you would roll like a check like that. So go down to composure and just click it and just give me a composure roll.
Where would that be? Is on the main
It's under feats of strength.
feats of strength.
Or
Just
technically
above.
vigor.
Just above feats of strength.
Oh, there it is.
I confuse vigor with.
Ooh, yeah.
The swirling and spinning kind of threw you off, and you kind of look over the dock and puke.
So that's what that looks like afterwards.
Yes, when you devour human flesh, that tends to look inside out.
It was a chicken, for God's sake.
I still say it was human flesh.
I used you to kill the damn chicken.
I know. What kind of a master orders his sword to kill a chicken, I swear.
I didn't order. I drew you. I cut a chicken's head off. I roasted a chicken.
I still
What?
say
What?
I still say it was a human polymorphed into a chicken, because that did not taste like chicken.
I like this thing more.
All Alphonse can see is me just shaking my head back and forth, just like, oh God, I'm done. I'd turn and look at him and just be like, "Ow, let's not do that again."
Sorry about that.
Was that like a teleportation crystal, or did you just give me like a huge amount of drugs?
I believe it was teleportation.
Tanya piecing out.
By the way, Alphonse, would you roll me a composure check, please?
Nice.
Shit stats plus shit rolls.
Yup.
Oh dear. Alphonse, you spend about a good 10 minutes puking over the side of the ship.
10.
10 minutes.
Yeah, well, if you spend a good 10 minutes of something.
I'm thinking just disconnected.
Probably vomiting.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely vomiting.
I'm pretty sure that's what it would have been.
Convulsing on the
Yeah,
deck of the
I,
ship.
I did. I
probably.
did say vomiting.
Only you had a
Yeah,
medic.
literally what happens is
If
Krios.
only.
Literally what happens
I
is
just kind of stand there looking at him like, oh God, what should I do? Do I pick him up? Do I put him over the rail?
Do I poke it with a stick? Is it dead?
I don't know. Is it dead? Poke it with a stick.
testing.
Well,
testing.
while we're waiting. Oh, hey.
Hey
Hello.
there, he's back.
Hi.
No, for whatever reason I cut out there. Oh, damn it.
Along with the innate
Well
bonuses.
said, Brandon. Well said.
Okay. All right. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I declared that Nathan's character barfed a bit, and then it was ironic because right when he turned around and said that whole thing with Alphonse immediately turns over the side of the boat and pukes for 10 minutes.
Hey, what do you
Okay.
know? We were right.
I'd like to say it's teleportation, but given my reaction, it might have been drugs.
Well, at least now we know. That's some good shit.
And on that bombshell, I shall stop the recording.
All right, take